District 76 Board of Education regular meeting, my April 15th, 2014 to order. Welcome, and please stand and join in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey.
Here.
Pam Greiner. Here. Brenda Cagle. Here. Val Reagan. Here. Julie True.
Here.
Becca Kern. Here. Judy Strong.
Present. Tonight being student focused, we're all excited on the board to have you come, and so we'll turn it over to Mr. Aldridge to do the introductions.
Great, thanks. This is a new section or a new format for the Board of Education, and it's student focused is our first thing. So this new agenda item, I'm just going to read it. We'll focus on the awesome things our awesome students are doing in our awesome school district, such as special events, awards, skills, activities, classroom projects, presentations, and any other awesome things kids are doing in and out of class. So we're going to be focusing on what the kids are doing. All right, we started that a little bit the last meeting, and we're just going to continue that focus. So I'm very happy to have the Parkview Junior High School Science Fair. Well, I have in here participants, but actually these two gentlemen are going to the state tournament. Is that right, Mr. Cleaver?
Exactly, they're going to the state tournament.
If you could introduce our young men.
Right over here, Brandon actually isn't going to the state tournament. He's in Bragton and Jackson Ashburn over here. They are not going to the state tournament. They actually won a special award by the National Oceanographic Administration something. You won 2 awards. What was the second one? Anyway, they won two special awards that are judged separately down at regionals. And there was one other team. Gavin, was it you guys that won the specials, or was it? You won the NOAA award. So we received 4 separate special awards in addition to the 2 teams that are going to state.
How many did we have at the regional?
At the regional event, we had 18 groups, 18 boards.
Okay.
Some were 2-person boards, some were 1-person. I think that was the highest, was 2 people.
Right.
And to get there, they had to get through 6 teachers at Parkview. We had this year 210 students since we added the 6th grade, which I think was a fantastic idea, and I hope we keep doing that next year, because it's going to give them an idea of what to expect. And we took 2 6th grade teams to regionals just for that purpose. They weren't judged against the 7th or 8th graders. The explicit purpose of taking those teams was so that they would come back and report how awesome the time they had at regionals. And they did. Both teams absolutely had a blast. So that was a good thing. These teams, there's 4 categories down there. There's outstanding, first, second, and third. And they do have just a participation award. So if they're really not up to par, they get a participation award. But all of our teams that went received an outstanding or all the way through a third. So we did even 6th grade teams. Come on in, Kevin. So this is another one of our teams that's going. This year, all the teams that are going to state are 8th grade teams. We have Kevin Ballard-Munn is going with Owen Atkins. We have Mac McGowan, Mac Haldeman, I said McGowan, Mac McGowan, is going with Gavin Worley. And those 2 won all the special awards, that's why they're here. They brought their boards in so they can give you an idea of what it is they're talking about, because I don't know. As a science teacher, I know nothing about this. Just kidding. These 2 were both fantastic projects, and I think this year what broke us into state, because we haven't had a state team since 1990. And I think what broke us into state this year was a high concentration on writing. Not necessarily that the projects were, but they were absolutely fantastic, but both 7th and 8th grade classes really focus this year a lot on writing. And I think that's what broke us into the state category. So I was really proud of each and every one. I'm actually proud of, the best thing that happened to me down there was the lady who ran the science fair program pulled me aside. And she said to me, she says, you know, you do some pretty edgy projects with your kids, meaning that maybe they're right close to that safety line. And I said, yes, I do, but it keeps them interested. And she said, well, I can say nothing but good things about every student you've ever brought down here. She said, over the 5 years, and this is the 5th year now that we've done science fair since they, I'm not sure who was here before me, since they shut down, but she said, we have noticed Parkview a lot. And she said, that program is really, really doing good things. And she said, you have fantastic kids. And we usually take down 4 or 5 runners to run results in addition to the teams. And they're much appreciative. The kids are always fantastic and very, very well behaved. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
So, with that, now that Kevin is set up, who wants to go first? Tell them about your project. Gavin, you guys go.
Well, we did snow pollution, since there's a lot of snow this year.
all right, first we need your name, guys. Give us all your names and speak up real loud so we can hear it.
I'm Matt Haldeman.
Gavin
and
Marley?
We are partners for this year's science fair, and our project was snow pollution. And the purpose for the solution was like to see how much pollution snow collected as it fell to the ground. And we hypothesized that we tested from different areas that had like more populated areas to less populated areas from, and then an agricultural land. And we hypothesized that the pollution would be higher in like a city and a more populated area than against a farmland type place.
We have the graphs down here for the results of all of the pollution. Cameron Lane was higher in ammonia than the others because of all the fertilizer. And we did ADM, which was higher in hardness. And then Parkview School was like in the middle of, let's see, hardness. There was no bacteria in any of them because they can't thrive in the cold, so there was no.
What we did first was we originally planned to take film canisters and take them and fill them with the snow and then test them individually, but we found out that to test them individually all together would be a really high price, so my mom did some research and went around and she ended up calling the Illinois American Water Company, and they willingly tested our water samples for free. And so we took that offer, but we found out that they needed 500 milliliters of water, and each full film canister held 25 milliliters of water. So we just went back out to the areas and took big Ziploc bags and filled them with the snow instead. And instead of testing each test individually, we combined all the snow from the same area.
Here's the award.
All right. Good. Good, guys.
Yeah,
Good job.
hey,
I'm sorry?
you wanna look at the paperwork?
The paperwork?
They're not judging you.
Yeah, really. Make sure you give it back before they go.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Mackie,
Who's next, Mr.
did you want to tell them
Kleesner?
about the water department,
What about?
what they want to do?
Oh, well, when the water company found out about our project and how far it went, they wanted to put our project on national headlines or whatever.
In their national newsletter.
Yeah, international newsletter. Or,
That's pretty cool.
The water company?
Yes.
Okay, wow. Very cool.
I thought it would be very awesome for that because not only will it be highlighting their achievement, but it also puts Creve Coeur and Parkview School in national news in a positive light. So that's a good accomplishment for all of them.
Good job.
Good job, guys. Brandon, you and Jack, you want to introduce yours quick? You want to give us a brief overview of yours? Yeah, come on over. And I know you can speak louder.
Yeah. I am Brandon Pogomar,
Jackson Ashburn.
and we did our project on how sugar affects blood sugar. Pretty much what we did was we would give one person, one of each gender, Mountain Dew, and then we would, well, first we'd take their blood, get the reading, give them the Mountain Dew, wait about, say, 45 minutes, and take it again. And the difference would have changed. For each gender, it would change, what did we have? The average for boys in Mountain Dew was about 25. For girls, it was about 11. Okay, we did Mountain Dew and Red Bull. They each had their different changes. Really why we were doing this was because soda and Red Bull both have their caffeine amounts and people are worried about how unhealthy they are for you, and we just wanted to prove how unhealthy they were for you, and if you have high blood sugar, how much this could actually affect you. Because a lot of people know people with high blood pressure that aren't allowed to drink Red Bull or Monster, Mountain Dew, that kind of stuff, because it could affect them, give them a stroke, that kind of stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Go.
After we did the Mountain Dew, we tested it again with Red Bull, 8 ounces of each one. And the Red Bull for the boys average was about 23, and the girls was about 21, 22. And the overall for boys and girls together was about 23 for Red Bull.
So was there, the one thing I wanted to point out, you did find significantly higher blood sugar levels, did you not?
Yeah.
Immediately, even after drinking it? So it was an excellent study.
Now, did Mr. Kleesner draw the blood, or?
We had a
how did you do
They had a
that?
nurse.
We had a nurse.
Oh, all right. I was a little worried there. I hadn't heard about that.
They figured I drew enough blood during the week that I really didn't need to draw it there.
There was another one coming around. Okay.
So,
All right, so you had some help there. Well, that's great, guys, and you are one of the teams going to the state tournament,
We did
right?
not go.
No, they did not
We
make
got 2 awards though.
You got the 2 awards, wonderful. And what were they for, though? You don't remember. That's all right. Well, congratulations, guys. It looks like a great project.
and last but not least, we have Owen Atkins and Kevin Ballard-Munn. They are going to state.
I'm Kevin Ballard-Munn.
And I'm Owen Atkins.
We also go by Pat Sajak and Vanna White, but only on the weekends. So our project here, we called it a study in granular flow. We have these materials. We have sand, oatmeal, seasoned salt, all sorts of these materials. And they're granular because they're a bunch of individual particles, and they all come together and make a substance, like beaches with sand. So what we did, we took these materials and we poured them into this funnel. And we timed how long they took. We did 3 trials and found the mass flow rate of them, which is how much of it flows per second. So we have an example here. Get the cup open. And we pour them in, hold our hand up, and we'll try to line them up. Place something here because this is. And then we count 3, 2, 1, release. and they go all over because I'm bad at language. Oops. But the concept was timing how long they take and finding the mass flow rate. And using that, you can predict how much would flow per second. And we measured how much of each there was. That was the volume flow rate. But our main was the mass flow rate, which is the weight in grams. And so we took those and we have a graph here. The graph is shy. We have our graph here, and it shows that smaller particles, the smaller they are, the higher their mass flow rate. And as the particles get bigger, they take longer to flow through the funnel. And that's because they go against each other and step each other. If we had a bigger funnel, this is only 1 inch. If we had a bigger funnel, the bigger particles would go through more quickly. So it showed that smaller particles go faster and big ones go slower.
So really mass had nothing to do with it?
That's it.
Oh, okay. Good job.
And Mr. Kleesner, about how long did it take, you know, the students or team to put all of this stuff together?
We start science, we did a little earlier this year because typically we would run science fair through ISAC. Well, I wanted to be done earlier this year so we wouldn't butt up with ISAC. So we actually started early in December. And that's when the teams all started getting their projects together. And then it was just a constant, you know, we're going to take a day here, we're going to take a day here, we're going to take a day here, to make sure they had plenty of time in the classroom and plenty of time with their teams to set stuff up. So we started pretty early. They have a good 2.5, 3 months. And there was actually a couple of teams that started even earlier, and I've got teams that are thinking about starting this spring already to do a study in agriculture. They're going to try to repeat the study on pea plants. So that would be pretty cool. But yeah, and I've had teams start early like that before. Just want to remind everyone, this is part of our curriculum. We use this as curriculum, so every 7th and 8th grader, and now every 6th grader is doing something with science fair. So I really think it's a great program. It allows us to do kind of a STEM project-based program with a lot less money. So it works really, really well. I'm proud of the kids.
So I have a question. So with doing the actual putting the boards together and doing their study, that they get graded also on
Yes,
their
they do.
report that they are
You
writing
bet.
about?
Yep,
Okay.
it's
And
a major,
also presentation skills as well, is that part of it too?
yes. It's a major grade for them. I run this basically as 2.5 test scores. So like I counted it third quarter this year, so there was a lot less individual scores as far as like homework scores, stuff like that. But we had the one major score for them this year. And the one thing is, and what I like to focus on in my science program is the writing. So not only do they have to put this stuff here together, but most of them, how many, Brandon, how many sources did you have for your paper?
3, 4.
3 or 4. Gavin, how many did you guys have? 13. Like 13? Kevin?
A lot.
So I mean, they're sourcing and they're writing. I compare our papers now to the other districts, so you know, that are down there, and we're writing on average 7 to 8 pages per project that goes down to science fair. The other schools are only writing 2 to 3. So I mean, we're really heavily focused on the writing. So I mean, I give a lot of class time towards the writing and make sure that they're up on it all the time. So I really enjoy it. I think it's a great program.
Are you kidding me? You guys really write this?
Yes, they did.
I mean, all these equations and everything? You guys really figured that stuff out?
It's data.
We're data driven, remember?
I don't know. That's pretty complicated.
Results
guys.
driven, but data is everything.
The result. We get to the results with the data.
Exactly.
So, all right. Well, any other questions from the board? Board members?
When is
date?
May 3rd. The kids are gonna have to be up there and have everything set up by 7:30 Saturday morning. The judging starts at 9, I believe, or 8:30 Saturday morning. Judging starts at 9. My wife and I are both participating as judges, so we're heading up too. So I'm looking forward to a wonderful day to see. There should be some really cool projects up there this year. I'm looking forward to going.
Thank you, parents and students. This is some great work, and we're really proud of all of the hard work and effort you've put into these things. So best of luck going to the state meet, and we will check back with you later and see how you did. So congratulations. Good job, guys. Okay, you don't have to stay for the rest of the board meeting, really. You can if you want, you know, but.
Good luck, guys.
When we had the 18, we took a bus over there. But since we only have 2 teams going to the state, Cal, Northern Illinois University. Thank you, Mr. Kleesner. Great job. Yeah, everybody got their reports, right? We don't want to handicap anybody. Make sure you got what you need, what you came with.
Why we're all awesome. Results.
Results driven. Again, this is kind of another new agenda item. We're going to focus on the awesome things our teachers, staff members, bus drivers, cooks, custodians, and administrators, who are all awesome, are doing to help our awesome students increase their achievement by awesome methods in our awesome school district. Have you seen a pattern yet? All right, we are focused on awesomeness here. So that's going to be our theme, I think. Principles, results. We have to be results driven. We get the data and we come and we report the results just like our science fair gentleman did. So I'm going to call, let's see, Mr. Jokish seems to be here. So let's go ahead and have him report. How's that?
Sure. Well, first off, I mean, I'll just comment on the great job of our science fair members, and I just really wanted to point out Mr. Kleesner, all the work that he's done. This is his 5th year at Parkview, and I know when he first, he's really taken a hands-on approach, and the kids just respond to that very well. And as a teacher, it puts a lot more stress on you because everybody's up and moving, and there's a lot going on. You've got a lot of organized chaos, so to speak. And he continues to manage that very well. And I know the first year that he was here, he started the science fair in January, and we had okay results. And each year it's gotten better and better. You know, this year he kicked off in October. He's really increased the writing component and the research component of it. And Ms. Starman's jumped on board where she has her 6th graders involved with it. And as you heard him say, we have kids who are thinking about what am I going to do next year. And that's one of the things that he's so great about is, we want to build on, you're in 7th grade, we want to improve on this next year. So I want to thank him for everything that he's done in pushing this program. And I know that once they're at state, they're going to be there. And, I think we're going to see more and more of this. This hasn't happened for a long time. We went from having no groups to now having 2 groups. And I think we're going to see a trend where this will probably be something that we see annually. So
Brad, do you know how many were at the regional? I should have asked Mr.
Well, there was 18 groups. Typically, there's.
Well, I mean, total
no, I don't know.
teams. There were 210 at the school.
Right.
Right. And we sent 18 to Western Illinois University.
Mm-hmm. It's a big area. It's a big region.
And it's a big region, so probably a couple hundred at
Yes.
the regional. So out of you know, let's just say 200, I can get the real number, but out of 200, we send 2 kids. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. So it is something to be proud of. So I'm glad to be a part of it. So, sorry.
Oh, no problem. And I just, on top of that, just all the other neat activities we have going on. We had the talent show last Thursday. I think we had like 30 acts who they came to tryouts. We took the top 12. We had a lot of talented individuals there. And that was just a lot of fun and a big success. Our Scholastic Bowl team continues to do very well. I think about 3 or 4 of these gentlemen here just rushed back from the Scholastic Bowl meet they had in Washington Middle tonight. And then we've got the drama play going on. And last week, our Hoops for Heart generated $1,200 that goes to the American Heart Association. And just on, that's a lot of cool activities. Last week, the 7th graders also took the park mid-year test, the mid-year assessment, which is an assessment that's not quite the awesomeness, but what that does, and the reason that we're doing this is, I'll tell you what our 7th grade, I know our 7th graders probably don't enjoy another assessment that well, but what our 7th grade teachers are doing is going, okay, this is what it looks like. This is what's expected of us for next year. Everything in here, in this reading assessment is nonfiction. It's all not, you know, the writing component looks much different than it did previously in the ISAT. You know, there's, you know, most schools don't have the opportunity to see what this looks like. They're not able to ask their kids, okay, what'd you like about this? What'd you struggle with? What was something that we really need to focus on? So now that we're in April and, you know, we're meeting tomorrow after school to have discussions, okay, what did we learn from this? What do we need to do in preparation for next year? So we're just happy to have this opportunity to kind of be ahead of the curve on this and have an idea of what's coming. Because, you know, there's been years where it's kind of been like, especially the state's very vague at times, and especially with this park test, they'll give us big generalizations like here's a 50-page general overview of what to expect, but we're not really going to give you an indication of what it looks like. So now we know what it looks like. We have a better idea of how to plan and prepare, and so we are going to have better results or continued results. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Jokic, you mentioned the social service that you did on raising money for who?
It was for it's called Hoops for Heart. Yeah, I should have elaborated on that. We do this every 2 years through our PE classes. Basically, kids raise money, and we have basketball competition. Like basically, if they raise money, they get to join a team, and then the teams compete against one another. Then at the end of the day on Friday, we had an assembly where the teams scrimmage off against one another. And mainly it's a charitable act. It's we raised it was over $1,200 at least for the American Heart Association.
The American Heart.
Yeah.
Okay. We've talked as a board about services of Parkview or even LaSalle, so that's a great report back to us. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Jokic. Ms. McCardle is unable to be with us this evening, so we won't have anything from LaSalle Elementary right now, but soon to come, I'm sure. So, moving along to the superintendent results. Let's go to your packets and there we go. Power IEP software system. Right now, the IEP software that we use for the school district is a free service that is, I mean, it's not antiquated. They've kept up, but it's clunky. It's not user friendly. I hear nothing but complaints from the the staff regarding the trying to use this system, and the biggest drawback to it is that it's not web-based. So in order for a teacher to do the paperwork that's required under the special education laws, they have to be here at school. So, you know, as you can imagine, if you've ever seen or been involved in an IEP meeting, there's a lot of paper generated, and there's a lot of information that goes into all of that. So teachers spend a good amount of time with creating all of these things, and if they're kind of handicapped, if they're sitting here, handicapped special ed IEPs, they're kind of hindered here if they have to stay in their classrooms to complete their work. So I agreed with that, and I sent Ms. Mueller, special education coordinator, out to find us some better programming and software system. And we came back and after some consultations and some conversations that I had with some director friends of mine, special ed directors, and Tazewell County Special Ed uses this Power IEP software as well. It seemed to be the most reasonable cost, and service-wise, it's going to give us what we need, and they're able to interface and download all of our information from our student database that we keep anyway from Skyward. All that information will just download and dump into this system and populate a lot of the fields for the special education teachers already. So it's going to be a big time saver, and it's going to be a tremendous help to our special education staff. So we'll be moving forward, and there'll be some training in the near the end of summer. We will have the Power IEP people come down and give us some training for the staff. You can also see that it's also includes Power RTI, which is basically student learning plans for our regular education students who are in the RTI process. If they're in Tier 1 or Tier 2, Tier 3, they're already generating some of the goals for these students, and we'll be able to include our MAP scores and put all of these things together to give us a better idea of where these students are. So this is truly, you know, our results driven. We're getting to the point where, you know, it's coming to the time we'll be able to pinpoint where these kids are at, you know, any given week or month of the year, and say, this is where we want them to be, and here's where they're at. So what do we need to do? Do we need to reteach a skill? Do we need to move them forward? Do we need to accelerate it? Or do we need to go a little bit deeper with these kids? Or, you know, do we need to look at some kind of other support services for them? All of these things give us those bits of information that's going to lead to our students, you know, ultimate success.
And this
So
will be up and running for the school.
this coming school year, 14-15 school year, it's correct.
Now, if you have this program, which I think is a great program, but, so if we have a student come in from another school and they have this also, then would we be able to just pull their IEP? Or
Well,
would we have to have an, you know, like, would they be able to like
Merge their
merge,
experience into
you know?
ours.
yes.
Or would we have to wrate a new one?
No,
Okay.
it will come to us, but we have to go through the company, because it's all confidential, and
Right.
it is, you know, it is secured. So we just can't go to another school district and pluck kids out of their database.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But yes, that is how it's supposed to work. We will merge kids that come in, and if their school district has Power IEP, boom, they just come right to us, and it's already prepared.
Okay.
So that's going to be a real big help.
There's not a lot of schools had it around here though, just know that.
Well, Woodford County,
Right. and
Woodford
Wood-
County,
and just because a school
Tazewell.
isn't on
Oh,
here,
that's right.
yeah.
Yes.
How many kids does this serve?
152.
Is it, how many kids do we have that needs it?
152.
Okay. Just double checking.
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't know if that was
There's
our
no
limit or
total.
that.
No, that's what we have right now.
So we have 152 children that have IEPs?
Yes, yes. Well, that includes all of our speech
Right.
children, or our ECE kids, so it's all of those combined. Mhm. Yeah.
Now,
Nope.
do you see that using it for the collection? You brought, I have no idea on this part of it, but the Power IEP and Power DSs where the software is allowing us to see Medicaid reimbursement. Do you see that as a bonus then?
Well, that is not anything, you have to purchase that separately.
Okay.
And that we already are in a contract with another service that does our Medicaid billing for us.
Okay.
So we send the data in, and for our social worker, for the psychologist, for OTPT, those services that we get Medicare money for, Medicaid reimbursement. Those services that we can get reimbursed for, we employ a company that does all of that submission of the forms to the federal government, well, state government. Federal money comes through the state.
But we have to feed them that information, so this might be something that you'll want to look at it in a future time.
It could be
Since
something.
we've already got the information in the programming.
Mm-hmm. It could be something that would be helpful down the road. It was, I wanted to get things started, and with the IEP and the RTI components, that was where I wanted to really focus on this year. So, yep. And this is not, the $6,295 is not going to be the annual fee, obviously, because we've got $1,000 training in there. We've got we've got the non-reoccurring implementation services one day. That's where they download everything and make sure with our staff that everything is being integrated correctly and assimilated. So those charges, it will go down. And I'm not working, Mrs. Mueller is working with North Pekin Marquette School, their special ed coordinator over there. They were also interested in Power IEP, and they've been kind of working this together and kind of sharing information. So if they decide to go with Power IEP, the people said that we could split the training and have them come down one day, and we would just split the cost of training. So
You're looking for that in the summer then?
yes, near the end of summer. Mm-hmm.
So technically, I mean, we have 152 kids with the IEP, but if we're using it for RTI also, then it's gonna help a lot more kids.
Yes, exactly. And you can see there's no number there because the RTI students, they aren't tracked right now. We have our MAP scores and those kind of things, but there isn't as specifically this kid. But yes, we will be serving, the software will be serving probably, I don't know, how many students are in 2 and 3, tier 2 and 3 over at Parkview, Mr. Jokish?
It's roughly
60?
15%, so you're looking at, you get 300 kids, about 60, probably a little higher than that, 60,
65, 60, yeah, 65,
Yeah,
70.
So there's more,
And,
would be more.
mm-hmm.
But
So
they're not
probably
charging
double.
per student on
No,
RTI.
the RTI isn't a charge per student, it's just a
Just on
flat
the
fee.
IEP.
Mhm.
Just on the IEP.
Yes.
Okay, years ago when we went to the health program,
Mhm.
and I don't remember who the superintendent was at that time, it doesn't matter. They did not want web-based because of confidentiality issues.
Mhm.
So how have things changed?
Well,
Firewalls.
exactly. When was that? That was how many years ago?
1995, it was brought in after that when I came,
Good. So in 15 years or so, we just look at the technology, and this is what these people do. This
Oh,
is
no,
their.
about that. So
Mhm.
much the teachers, if they were at home, and they could access the web. That was the discussion.
But you're gonna be logging on to, I mean,
I don't understand.
So
They sign a
you're logging on to-
confidentiality form that they just, I mean, I know my work,
Who?
I mean the teachers, at my work, if I have my stuff at home and I wanna pull up things, I have to sign like some form saying this is the computer I'm gonna have it on, and that I will keep it, you know, to where that no one else would have access to that computer, that it's my computer, that way if it gets stolen or anything happens, I'm not responsible for confidentiality.
I was saying at one time we had
I mean, I
those
do have to sign a
laptops,
thing,
Mhm.
I have to sign a
and
waiver.
the laptops were able to take home and get it at one time,
Okay.
but, I don't remember having to sign any
I have to
forms
sign it,
or.
it's on my own devices at
like
home.
on mine.
Oh, I
If it's
know,
on my own devices
devices.
at home.
I don't
I
know
see.
how
If I
it
wanna
would be
pull
any
up
different than
my
teachers
email.
logging in and putting their grades in Skyward at home.
Right, I have, if
remember
I
the
have to log into my
discussion.
email at home and things like that, anything, right,
Yeah.
I have to sign some form for that.
Well, Mrs. Reagan, when I have to log in for my work at home, we go through a VPN, and as soon as we
Mhm.
log on, there's a thing that you have to click, check a little box that says you're acknowledging the fact that this is secured data, you're not
Right.
supposed to be sharing this, it's supposed to be confidential.
That's what I do.
That's
Mhm.
just part of the whole process, and the way I go. I don't sit there and reread that sucker each time, but.
I just have to sign some form, I'm not sure
I
what it
just remember
was.
that being a concern.
It was, it's kept on file at.
And I think 15 years ago, it was
You
a
have to sign a
concern,
form, too.
you know, but
Yeah, so
the confidentiality, or, I'm sorry, the technology today, the security around, you know, banking, a lot of people do, you know, internet or banking over online, you know, and there's security there. These people know that it is, you know, it is confidential information that's a part of the contract, so they understand and they're held to the confidentiality of our students. If I guess I don't have any worries anymore about someone hacking in and stealing student data or files. It just doesn't seem like those worries are as prevalent as they used to be, so.
You know, concerned about the paper they have at their house, and someone's breaking into your house and stealing stuff.
Or your computer that has the data on it.
Well, they won't be storing any data on their computer. I
But
mean, it's
once
all
they have a
web-based.
password, they can't get into it.
Yeah.
It's all web-based, so they shouldn't be storing anything. And teachers take home IEPs now to work on them at home, so if we can't, I mean, I guess I have to trust my teachers that they're, you know, that they're keeping student information confidential. Sure hope so. That's part of what they're supposed to do. Principal Search Committee. I would like to turn this over to Ms. Kern and Ms. Reagan because they were at the search committee meeting last night.
Yes,
What'd you
it
think?
was great, wonderful turnout.
All right. As you can see, I've got the list, the committee members listed there. We have 2 unfilled slots, a support staff and a parent. We do have 1 parent right now. And it came down to the point where I had to move. I couldn't keep trying to call people and, you know, explain and phone tag and all that kind of thing. And it wasn't that people weren't interested, it was that families at LaSalle have small kids. And it was a time commitment for most people. So that was the reason I was getting, you know, a lot of people rejecting was just, it was just the time commitment. Not that they didn't want to be involved or be a part of it. It was, you know, it's just, I can't commit to that kind of time. So we had to move forward, and you've heard, you know, over and over again what the process is, but I anticipate having some candidates for the board at the committee of the whole meeting on May 6th, if possible. That's going to be my goal, and we have that set up. The committee now has the 19 resumes. They have a rubric to go through to rate these resumes and look for specific things that are in the cover letters and in the applications and the resumes. They go through there and they kind of prioritize and put the resumes, into an order, a numeric order. Then we come together, find some commonality. If there are candidates where all 9 of us agree that this is somebody who should have an interview, obviously, we put that in the interview pot. And if we don't get 8 that way, then we'll start talking about, the rating and the actual, getting down to the looking at their resumes and discussions, and people can give their reasons why they believe this person should or should not be granted an interview. And then we're going to do 2 interviews a night for 4 nights, and then we're going to come back together and discuss them, and then we'll move it forward with administrative and then board interviews.
And so May 6th, we should expect possibly a special committee.
That is my hope, is on May 6th to be able to bring 2 candidates to the board.
For the board to interview?
The final.
Oh, that's fine, but I didn't know if you wanted to interview the same night we had a committee meeting.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We'll probably have to have a special meeting and have it at 5.
Oh, do it before the committee of the whole meeting.
Well, we had an hour we're gonna have an hour with each, 2 separate ones, so, do you want an hour with each candidate as a board?
And you had an hour
We're gonna
each
each
with the
interview,
interview.
yeah.
I see what you're saying. Might be a consideration. We might have to move that committee of the whole
I don't
up a
think
little bit.
I don't think you can have a meeting at 4 because
No, I mean move the committee of the whole up to 7 instead of 6. So meeting at 5, possibly 6 for the second interview, and then the committee of the
Yeah.
whole.
you'll just have to, depending on who we pick, they may not be able to get here at 5.
So we
Depending
can,
on where they're from.
we can alter the committee of the whole agenda if we need to.
Or call a special meeting.
Yeah.
Another day if you want.
Yeah, you could have a special meeting another day.
2 special meetings instead of 1? Because there will be a special meeting on the 6th to do the interviews.
Right, we could just have a totally different meeting for the interviews, and then still have our committee of the whole meeting as a regular committee of the whole meeting. And conduct the interviews on another night,
Right.
potentially, instead of having it together.
Like just have a meeting at 6 and have it from 6 to 8.
Instead of the committee of the whole, that's what you're saying?
Not instead, have our committee of the whole meeting,
Yes.
and then have a special meeting. Another day, not the same day. I mean, it could happen that way too.
Mhm. Whatever works for the Board of Education is fine with me. It can be done both ways. I don't have any preference.
That way you can see them both on the same night.
Well,
If you start 5 to 7,
And just in case your
Yeah.
interview runs a little bit longer, each interview, you don't wanna rush them. I mean, you're gonna pick a principal.
from most of the interviews I sat in on the last time, except for one, was only about 45 minutes. But it's a whole new team coming in, and
And you don't want them to meet each other. You want to maybe give them time for one to leave and the other one to show up. I mean, is that what you guys want?
they know. They'll see each other in the other interviews, possibly, so. So you're saying you do not want this special meeting the same day as our committee of the whole, is that what
No,
you're saying?
I'm not saying that, I'm just saying it's an option.
Okay,
So whatever you guys decide, it's an option to have it another day.
I think it would be better if we have it a different day,
you wanted a different day.
in my opinion.
So you could do it, so that Tuesday, you could do it that Thursday from 6 to 8 instead of.
I can't be here the 8th, I'm sorry. This is
Yeah.
totally merit award.
I have to look, I don't know my schedule, so, I mean, I don't know, I can't give you a date that I could do it, but,
The candidates can make it.
That's
That's
true.
the most
I just
important
meant-
part. So,
yeah, I mean,
Not just the board.
so I think it's something that's gonna come down to when you guys get it down to 2 people, and then we can kind of,
Well, with the schedule of May and all the activities through the board, I would tend to think that it would be better to stay with one time, one date, so that you're not having to come in 2 or 3 nights.
Well, you could make it, instead of having them, someone can't come in at 5 on May 6th, you can come in at 6 and we can just do our committee of the whole meeting after get those interviews done or whatever.
They could be before the committee of the whole, one of them, and then one afterwards, too.
That might be awful late.
And honestly, the committee of the whole agenda can be, put together so that, we're not doing a tremendous amount that evening. So,
well, and we're
it's
already
doable.
committed to that night too, because,
Right?
my schedule, I'm already off that night versus, so,
Right.
I don't care. It
Okay,
doesn't
so
matter to
watch
me.
for possible longer, 5 o'clock, and then longer in the night. Thank you.
Just take some notes for possibilities here. Good. Last month, I brought to the board the request regarding the Center for Youth and Family Solutions, and the Board of Education wanted some more information about what they are, who they are, and what they were doing. And I think the email from Ms. Powell kind of sums it all up. That's why I put it in here. Excuse me. And this is the Center for Youth and Family Solutions is a community organization that provides different types of services to youth and families, obviously, across our area in Tazewell County. They have a number of different programs that they do and they run. Most specifically, Ms. Powell is involved with the youth, and she was brought in to do the assessments, or did some assessments here at Parkview, and came up with the surveys that showed some of the needs that were present, that people said, the students and parents said that they would like to see and participate in. There were a total of 37 youth surveys, and the top 3 issues were lack of recreational activities, children's programs, trash, litter, drug and alcohol abuse, all tied for the top 3. 127 adult surveys, and the top 3 were lack of recreational activities, lack of children's programs, and potholes. So, to address the children's issues, they have they're grant funded, so they work through grants and partnerships with the villages. They do currently have programs for after-school and summer activities in in East Peoria, in one of the more difficult neighborhoods, the Bottoms. Does that sound right? Okay. They do a program down there that's an after-school and the summer type program that is been running for a number of years now. So they're looking to expand out, and reached out to me to ask if the school district would be interested in the partnership, and I thought it was a good idea. Anything that we can do to provide for our students. We're not asked to provide any money. There's nothing There's no cost to the school district. She's asking for a night to meet with, to have a parents' meeting to discuss the program, and then, so to use the school for that purpose, do some after-school programming, which is more recreational rather than all of the tutoring, to get kids out and moving, and then some limited summer activities because she's just starting this up, and it's getting close to summer, so not knowing where this is going, she's not projecting a lot of different activities in the summer, but at least something to go on for the kids to do.
Does
so-
she do the grants then, once she finds the needs, is?
Yeah, the agency does. I don't know if it's her specifically. So
They're the ones that
it's
are
through,
seeking monies.
it's through the center solutions.
Can we ever talk with Tazewell County also, because they have after-school tutoring, and I hate to pull kids from tutoring. They can now have an activity here, that way they can work together and not duplicate resources and not hinder any of the kids' tutoring. I mean, just to talk to her to make sure that, I don't know, if a kid had a choice to go to tutoring or basketball, play basketball, they might choose to go to basketball. That way we could just make sure that the activities don't.
The school calendar, I'm sure should be checking with the different schools to make sure.
Right. Or maybe they just talk together to make sure that they accommodate each other.
Good awareness.
We can definitely put them in contact with each other
Right.
and
you don't want to
move
do
that
sales
forward. So I will let Ms. Powell know that she can go ahead and start to plan for, with Mr. Jokish, plan for a parents' meeting. She'll send a letter out to try to get this happening. She already visited the PACE group and last month and did a presentation to them, and they were, she was very appreciative of their time and efforts, so we will move this forward and see what's going on with all of this. So, all right, summer work projects. All right. All right, during spring break, I had contractors coming in, and as I've informed and advised on previous occasions, the bigger organizations and contractors did not see this as projects that they could, they would be willing to make a big enough profit on to even bother to put in a proposal. So went down to, I guess I call them a second level, a second tier, trying to find contractors and plumbers and electricians to come in and give us proposals. I've worked with Alicia Herman, who's the village engineer, to give me suggested names of individuals and companies around the area to contact, and so she's done that. So we have we should have electrical proposals probably after after Easter. I would think sometime later in the week, because they were just out here. When was that guy here? Was that Friday?
For the
Laser Electrical?
Yes.
Was that Friday? And then Oberlander was out as well. Thompson Electric is going to put in a proposal as well. So trying to get some of the individuals to come in and put these proposals together. It's been a challenge, but we're moving forward, and we will get this done because it has to be done by June 30th. So it will be done. All right.
Moving on to E3, information leading to results. Throw that back to you.
Right. The ad hoc committee report we met and had an ad hoc committee and had an ad hoc meeting, and we ad hoc'd it all over the place and came up with some information. And Ms. Greiner and Ms. Cagle, if you guys would mind sharing how you thought the committee went.
I thought it went pretty well, and I chatted on email and thought that it went fine. And I think it was great that the people from Parkview that were doing that part of the meeting first had already worked with Mr. Jokish, and they brought forward that they would like to spend their funds on books, and that's basically what the agreement was. So that will be part of the presentation that we'll bring forward at the final meeting with our team. And then the two from LaSalle we met with, and they are really at this point doing some research on some things that the teachers were wanting for LaSalle, and basically, not to spill the beans or anything, but they want to look at getting a laminator, and they also want to look into possibly getting some additional books for the school as well, and they were going to be making some phone calls about that, getting some prices together. So they might come back with another idea or two. We talked about several different things, but at this point, we're hoping that they're going to come back. They're hoping to have the numbers when we meet again on the 23rd and be done.
So we have another meeting on April 23rd.
6 p.m. again?
That'll be our
Yes.
second meeting to kind of go through and see where we're at as far as research is concerned on these issues. And I think, wasn't the laminating machine, wasn't that on every
It was pretty
every
much on
grade
every,
level
yes,
list?
it was.
The teachers over there
It was
always
on,
want to
it was
laminate.
on everyone's list from each grade level, it seemed, and then also the mention of books, and there were several other items that were on there, but the two from LaSalle and the committee really were going back and forth about the laminator and the cost of that. So while we were at the meeting, looking up some prices, and they were gonna do their own fact gathering data information, pulling all that together this week and next. And then also, we talked also about books, because that was another biggie on the teachers' list. We're getting some additional books, and we go through Scholastic, and that's for the kids, and buy one, get one for the kids, and is that an offer that can be done for buying books for the teachers? So they were gonna make a few phone calls and check on some other
The
information.
laminator, I believe, has been down all year, this past year, if I'm correct, right?
Well, and that was, it's not a huge cost, but it's like between $1,800 and $2,000. That's a lot of money. So if we can get a good laminator and maybe even buy, I think Pam even mentioned, or whoever mentioned, getting some type of a service agreement on the laminator to where the thing goes down.
I guess my
Yeah,
concern
okay, it's
is,
Tammy that did that.
I guess my concern is the resolution states for educational purposes. I guess I see the educational purpose in books, and I'm failing to see the educational value in a
Well,
laminator.
I asked about that as well, and it came down to, in our meeting, and we'll bring all this stuff to the board, but it came down in our meeting that every teacher basically was using a laminator to laminate teaching products that the kids take home or they use in the classroom and they use over and over again. So they really thought that that was part of an educational expense. So we'll make sure they give a good argument.
It'd be like not having a copy machine.
That's what they really thought, because, in the younger grades, it might not be so much for fourth grade, but in the younger grades, they are using that, I guess, on a daily basis.
Sure.
From what we were gathered, it was on every teacher's list.
Try to get by with it, without it this year.
They're using Parkviews.
Oh, my.
Yeah, Kathy
I
Ham
have a
comes
jump
in
one at
once a
home,
week
but
and
I mean, that's a
laminates.
big thing. I mean, you drive up there, but then the time goes up laminated.
So, that was one of the first things I asked is,
Right.
how is that educational? And then we got into that big discussion, but we will bring their ideas to the table and we can discuss it.
I'm kind of with I'm just gonna put in my 2 cents here. I'm kind of with Becky a little bit. If the school provides a copy machine, why isn't the school providing a laminating machine? I mean, I realize it's expensive, but still,
You're right, it's equipment for the teachers.
it's equipment that the school should be.
Maybe because we're only getting 75% of the state funds. So if we can find, you know, support through the parents club, it does help the district.
I just think it's kind of a stretch. I don't know.
Well, you know, and then it got down to where some of the teachers, you know, had individual things that they were running for their classrooms, and we got into that whole discussion too, that you can't buy 1 or 2 items for a teacher and then not do for all the teachers. So we're trying to have them pick items that are for educational purposes, because that's what, you know, the resolution states, but also that everyone can use. So, and they really were quite interested in the books, and, you know, with the other people from Parkview basically saying we want all of our money to go on the books, that was part of our discussion too with the LaSalle folks.
How much is the library used?
That's what they were talking
even-
about too, because the
even
library
them.
has books, and
Right.
that's where the part of the
Right.
funds for Parkview is that they don't really have that close of access to
Right.
the library, and spending all the funds there, I think we all kind of agreed that that made us a lot of sense, because then it just fills their library,
Well,
fills
it
the
was
teachers'
for
needs.
nonfiction also,
Nonfiction.
which is what Parkview is in desperate need, going with the new testing.
But isn't there like a thing out there that you could do, like, I'm not sure, and when we were on the board a couple of years ago, they were wanting, we didn't do it, but, because it was like $1,000. But you could, some service that you could hook up the school to the library and do like loans? Like that way you could do,
Interlibrary
like, yeah,
loans.
interlibrary loans from all different libraries then,
Yeah,
not
they do
just
it.
ours.
They do it at our library.
But at Parkview.
Parkview
If kids have a
doesn't
library
have
card, they can do that. For,
They could go to
through
Parkview Library and get an interlibrary loan at this library?
The issue with that is you get a limited number, it's like 1 book at a time or something like that. And what we were requesting is not just additional nonfiction books for the library, because generally the library has limited funds, and they buy the new popular fiction, you know, things that come to the book fair, but there's not the emphasis on nonfiction. And also having a leveled library that teachers can utilize in their classrooms, where you've got 10 books at this reading level, you know, it's similar reading levels that you can take out and have small reading groups. And
Right,
that's-
so it's buying a significant number, you're buying sets of 10, so that the class, you know, the small groups
Without
should
having
have.
a representative from LaSalle tonight, Ms. Patty motioned that she'd like to talk to the issue of the
You guys were
laminator.
talking about the laminating machine and the educational aspect of it. I'll just give you an example. We do letters with the kids and we do it out of clay, but we make their letters to where they can form it around so they learn their letters that way. And it's better with the laminated thing because you can use them over and over and over again. We see a lot of multiple kids. The other thing, another example is they use it for dry erase boards for spelling. They take the
That's one of the things that they talk about.
excess laminate and they make dry erase boards out of it. I mean, we use that machine a lot.
Oh, I understand the use of the machine. I guess I just don't understand
Why the school isn't
I think what
purchasing
they're
why
getting
the
at
school
is,
has a
do
purchase.
do we just buy it, you know, for the school, or do we use the funds that were supposed to be for educational purposes?
So I guess I don't see it, because I see it as an educational
Yeah.
purpose.
Well, if they're gonna bring that to the committee from our final meeting, then they're gonna have to really support the fact that it is for educational purposes.
And the reason that I haven't purchased a laminating machine is because it broke down at the beginning of the school year. No, it didn't break down. A teacher ruined it at the beginning of the school year through incorrect use that just should not have happened. Okay, so I was upset at that. We tried to get the service the company to come out and service the machine, but to buy the new heat rollers and put all of it together again, that all the parts that were ruined, was going to cost more than to buy a new machine.
Okay.
So there was that factor as well. So it was, we had a laminator at Parkview. We have one in the school district. Let's see how we can do with using one laminator, get through the school year, and see how it goes. And so that's where it's at. And
So how's it been going?
I don't know, nobody's complained about it to me.
Except for it was all on everybody's list that they
There's
wanted to
blocks in the
laminate.
teacher's lounge that people put stuff that needs to be laminated, and someone comes in and wants to leave it laminated.
Well, and it's also putting extra
It is.
on the Parkview
Sure.
laminator, so, and it's probably about as old as this one.
Yes.
I guess
Yes.
if we're gonna approve something like this, I guess my next suggestion would be maybe it needs to be put somewhere and there's one person that laminates. I mean, that's how they do it where my husband works at. There's one person that laminates, and if you need something laminated, that person laminates when that person has time.
In the 15 years I was in the district, I've never heard of the damage that was
I've
done
seen
there,
some
so.
things laminated that probably shouldn't be, and some people laminating that probably shouldn't be laminating. You know,
I remember I was here once and they went, hey, you wanna do this? I'm just like, I don't know how. They're just like, I'll show you. I don't, you know, I don't know what it was for, but like an event, like when my kids were here on a weekend. And I laminated. I think I did okay. But you're right, I wasn't trained on it. Yeah. It was
It
just
takes a lot of time.
It is a, it's something that, somebody has to stand there and pay attention to, and, to use it correctly. But the real point of it is, and I guess, I was not, at the beginning of the year, I was not really willing to go there at that point, because it was just not something that was a high priority at the time. So I didn't have teachers coming to me this school year. It's on everybody's list, so they want one, but nobody has expressed that, in any kind of dramatic format to me. So, and honestly, I forgot about it. It was, things were happening, school was running fine. We didn't have a laminator here, but it was, teachers were getting what they needed, so.
Okay. Well, that answers that question.
Yeah, but
So-
I don't have any problem with the school buying a laminator. That's fine too.
So maybe you can take back to your committee.
But I think if the parent club, if that's what they want to donate to the district, I think we should graciously accept it. I mean, does it really matter if it comes from their donation or out of our funds?
Well, and then another thing too is that, going through the list that the teachers had for LaSalle, that was the number one thing that they had on everyone's list, basically, and then right after that were books. And the committee, the two that we were meeting with LaSalle were like, okay, well, laminator and books, and they talked about a couple of other things, and, it came down to then asking them, well, how is a laminator educational? And made them think about why would that be educational, so we did that whole, conversation, and so I honestly don't have a problem if they wanna spend the money on a laminator, if they think that that's educational.
If they can spend, just let them know, if they can spend $5,500 on books, or a whole lot less money on books. I think personally books would be a better choice. but
When they
that's
used to do
my
young
opinion.
authors, I remember they used to laminate all the kids as young author books for them, and just, when they present it.
But that's not, that's their decision, I guess, and they're gonna present, and hopefully they have a good argument.
Well, they were very, very upbeat about the items that were on the teacher's list, and, the chatting back and forth about how best to spend the money, and if they had $3,500 or maybe even a little bit more left over from the SAL funds, to spend that on books. And then someone said something about, there's a 2-for-1 going on right now, and they were all excited over that, and they were gonna research that a little bit to see if they could even possibly, meet that qualification because they had $3,500. So they're gonna research and the two of them and come back and we're gonna discuss it again on the 23rd, so.
And in all defense of Mr. Aldridge and not purchasing it before, you'll remember that we've had a year of buildings needs falling apart, so I'm sure a laminator, we still have one, but we are putting that undue stress on that one.
That's true. It is. So, but for the most part, it came down to, it fell off my radar list and, didn't need to buy it. Nobody was clamoring for it. So, East Peoria High School Board invitation. At my area superintendent meetings, we meet once a month with the high school district, East Peoria High School, and the feeder school districts, so the grade schools. And so the superintendent at the high school said that his board president was interested in inviting the grade schools into, to have a meeting to kind of just see what the commonalities are, see where we're at, see what, each school's issues might be, how we can support each other, and be more inclusive with the high school. So there was no time frame, there was no dates or anything like that. It was just left as, see if your boards of education would be willing to entertain an idea of all of the boards coming together and, for discussions about collaboration and the commonalities.
Comments?
I think it's a wonderful idea.
Yeah, I think it's overdue.
Yeah, well overdue.
Yes.
I think it goes along with our goal-setting nights that
We've
we
been trying to-
wanted.
yes.
Yes.
Why couldn't we
Communications,
do
yeah.
this with Pekin as well at the same time?
Well, I think we can do it with Pekin, but probably on a different day, because Pekin has different feeder schools than what East Peoria does, and it might just overwhelm, because they have like lots of feeder schools in
Yeah.
Pekin, where I think East Peoria has 3.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I will let them know and see, this is their idea, so we'll just say that we're willing participants and would like to be there, so I will do that. Very good.
Answer for us.
Once again, we have frozen food that was lost. I've already discussed a lot of the things that I thought about the fact that these products were lost over the spring break. The fact that the freezer temperature had gone up, from below freezing up to 35 degrees. We reset the alarm system, well, we called Overlander to reset the alarm system so that if the temperature reaches 18 degrees, they're calling us because of that. We're not waiting until 35 degrees. I didn't even know it was set at 35 degrees before we got an alarm or a phone call from the alarm company. So that would be a swing of about 40 degrees difference, and because the walk-in freezers are running right about 8 to 10 degrees below zero. Is what they run at. So to go up to 35 degrees was something that should not have happened, and essentially. I still have a strong belief that this was done intentionally because there was nothing wrong when the service repairman came out. There was nothing wrong with the freezer. There was nothing wrong with the compressors. There was nothing wrong with the The motors, there was nothing wrong with the circuits. The breakers weren't blown or anything like that. And when he went to the back to look at the freezer, he found that the thermostat on the freezer was set at 35 degrees. And that should not have been. And the only way that can be done is if someone goes to the completely to the rear of the freezer and uses a screwdriver to turn the thermostat. It's the only way it happens. So it was done intentionally. I firmly believe that. I can't prove anything. I have investigated. I've looked. I have talked to people, and there's no indication of an individual who, because too many people had access. So there's no way to pinpoint it to one person. But you can see the total cost. $2,068. You'll see the waste management pickup was a $200 additional cost because we had to pay for a dumpster to be come and taken or cleared or emptied because they filled it up. They filled it up. So
insurance, we have a $1,500 deductible, I believe you told me. So we could possibly get, what, $500 to $700 claim in on that?
That would be, the extent of it would be, $500, yeah.
I wouldn't turn it.
I wouldn't either.
Just make your insurance go up.
Yep.
Yeah.
$500.
I would turn it
If
at
it was a
$500.
whole lot more than that, then, yeah.
And I thought about the idea of maybe, is there some way we could combine the two because we had the loss here? We had $900 earlier in the year when the power went out. Not here, it was Parkview as well. But I think there was too big of a span.
Yeah, that's not combined.
Yeah, so I don't think they would let us combine it, but I was trying, I was stretching things.
Do we normally keep the freezers locked when there's no school? Because you said this happened during spring
Do
break.
you
Yes,
remember
ma'am.
the email?
Oops, I'm sorry.
Don't you remember the email about the key?
The freezers are locked. There is a lock on the deep freeze. Yes, that is
was
correct.
the second part of it.
And that was part of the issue, was that the key was
And that's
lost,
been corrected, right?
misplaced, however you want to put it. That has been corrected.
Good.
We do have a new
I
key,
think you're liking this too much, Becky.
and
It just seems like it's just this whole big story.
it is, well, it is.
Like,
I don't know how else to
20
tell it.
20 steps to get to.
Even if it's locked, someone physically went around to the back and messed with the setting.
No, it's inside. A thermostat is inside the
Yeah.
freezer, in the back. So they
Yeah,
have
it's
to
in the
be
very
able to get
back
in.
wall of the freezer, yeah. You gotta go in there and get behind stuff and,
But if Overlander, if that temperature was set with Overlander at 35 degrees,
Hmm?
who does that? I mean,
Who tells Overlander 35?
just asking.
just saying, I don't know.
How long it's been there?
And by the
I
time
don't know,
it-
yeah, I
by
don't know
the time
how
it gets to
long.
35 degrees, it's already, everything's burning.
Yeah, it's
I
hot.
don't know.
It's like, who set
That's
that
not
down?
funny that the temperature was set to 35 degrees too.
Mhm. Yeah, kind of
Yeah, that's kind
coincidental.
of
A lot of
coincidental.
things,
Yeah, I don't believe in coincidences.
a lot of things, like Ms. Kern said, a lot of things are just don't,
missing.
they add up, but they don't add up.
But I can't imagine anybody intentionally.
The
wanting
freezer
us
was
to
supposed to
go
be locked, but the key got lost. But luckily, the freezer wasn't locked when the key got lost, or nobody would have been able to get into the freezer. I mean, come
Who
on.
gets the call when the alarm goes off? Do you get the call? Does the principals? I'm just curious.
It just all depends, because it starts off with Mr. Mead. Then if he's not available, then I get the call. Mr. Jokish gets a call as well. So it just kind of goes down the chain, yeah. But I don't know who set it at, the alarm at 35 degrees. That wasn't anything that I ever looked into. Never really had a need to know.
So is that's fixed at Park, is it been fixed here?
Yes, across the board, that
Okay.
has been fixed as
Because,
well.
I'm just gonna, $2,000, I would've bought a laminator right there.
I was thinking that too, but I won't say it.
I'm gonna say it.
There's your laminator.
Mhm.
Okay,
So-
wait, earlier in the year when we lost the $900, what temperature was it then?
That was a power outage,
Okay,
yeah,
so they didn't get an alarm at all.
right, because it was out,
That was during the tornado.
right. There was no,
Yeah, that was that weekend.
That was when we lost power for,
Temperature,
Yeah, I know.
you still think with the temperature. got
there was
to-
no power to
Set off
anything
an alarm.
to set the alarm off,
Okay.
right.
And they call us when the alarm goes down when there's a power failure, which, okay, there's been tornadoes, that was,
But everybody didn't have power at that point.
Right.
right.
So, I investigated as much as I can, and that's as far as we got. So, item E3D has, I'm like to pull that item from the agenda. So, move that along.
Okay, we're moving on to the consent agenda. We need a motion, please.
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented or revised, or, it says, okay. I make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Mrs. Cagle, seconded.
Yes.
Comments?
Yes, I did get some, a couple questions from some board member, and so I'd like to go through those so everybody knows. The first one was check number, it's like the, check number 15465, and it's capital funding group. And if you look over across there, it's SES for LaSalle and Parkview for the month of March. Capital Funding Group is the, I guess, the parent company for Above and Beyond Tutoring. The SES means our supplemental educational service providers.
I didn't see the SES. Sorry.
Yeah. No, and I didn't know exactly who they were either. I'm like, that's not anybody that we talked to. So why are they the SES? Well, Above and Beyond Tutoring is the actual provider, and Capital Funding is they're the ones that do the administration of all of that.
Okay.
So there was that one. Next, couple pages beyond, page number 4, it looks like. 15478, Bureau of Education and Research. This is Title I, Professional Development. We're sending 2 teachers from Parkview to go to a co-teaching seminar because they do their special education students into a regular education classroom, and they do co-teaching, and so these teachers wanted to gather more skills in those areas, and so it was put out there to send these 2 teachers to that professional development activity. Mr. Jokish and I, because it is at Parkview, Mr. Jokish and I thought that it was a good use of money at that point. Next, page 9, 3/4 of the way down, 15503 is Newman's Incorporated, and this control services for the month of April. That is our monthly service charge for Nauman's to change the filters. They come in, and anytime we call them, This is a true service plan that we purchase on a monthly basis, because we call the guy if it's too hot in Miss Cole's room, things are plugged up somewhere, we know that. We call Dave, he comes out there and does what he does and crawls around up there in the ceiling and finds the problems and fixes them. And we use this service quite a bit, so it's worth it's worth the price. He's also the one who we called, immediately when Homewood was a problem with the boilers. So, you know, they work with the boilers, they work with our HVAC stuff. So it's a service, and we will see that invoice coming across here pretty soon as to how much it actually cost us for the Homewood incident. So that's Nauman's. So that's a recurring monthly service. And then check number 15515, which is the next page at the bottom. State surplus property revolving. LaSalle Title I. This is the cost of the laptops for the LaSalle School Lab. So what had happened was 5 of the computers that we purchased in December, when we got them, 5 of them had some technical problems and just weren't working correctly. So I didn't pay the bill, and I took them down there, took them back to Springfield, took those 5 and exchanged them and to get 5 working ones. So that's why it's just now coming to us. So. And those were
we
the
had gotten
questions.
the laptops, but then that was a long time ago.
Yeah,
So I was-
well, that is the reason why, is because I just held the payment, because you know, I wasn't going to pay $500 for computers that didn't work. So took them back down there and got new ones, and they're all up and running. And Miss Patty likes them, I know that. True, not true?
There it is, Patty.
So those were the questions that I received for this payments list, and that was all I had.
Any other questions coming from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Linda Bailey?
Aye.
Pam Griner? Brenda Cagle?
Aye.
Valerie Reagan? Julie True?
Aye.
Rebecca Kern? Aye. Judy Strong?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on to our G action items, we need a motion, please.
I make a motion to turn over unpaid textbook fees in the amount of $4,260 to a collection agency.
Second from Mrs. Keiko, thank you. Communications? The board?
Is that fee always that high? Or is it just abnormally high this year?
Unpaid book fees?
Yes.
You know, it was $6,000 when we started.
Was it? It's
Yeah.
just kinda sad.
So
It was about that much
that's,
last year.
seems, that's what Shelley indicated, that that it runs about this much. And then, so you know, what can I say? I don't like having to do this, but you know, it's $4,000 that's owed to the Board of Education or the school district, so, you know, we need to collect it somehow.
Do we do everything we can to see if parents are eligible for help?
Yes.
Okay, good. I just wanna make sure
Yeah,
that.
anyone who is free and reduced lunch, we send the letter out,
Right, okay,
and
good.
we know that there's textbook, waivers for certain individuals, and we take care of all of those. These are people who just have not paid their
Okay, good.
fees.
I mean,
And we send 3-4 letters, and, we do a lot. I don't, but,
right,
Ms. Cornwell does a lot to try to collect that money.
we just need to pay it now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey?
Aye.
Pam Griner? Brenda Cagle? Valerie Reagan? Aye. Julie True?
Aye.
Rebecca Kern? Aye. Judy Strong?
Yes.
Motion carried.
We need a motion for G2, please.
Oh, come on.
make a motion to accept press policies for second reading as presented and approved of same. Section 5, personnel, policy 5:50, drug and alcohol-free workplace. Tobacco prohibition, right?
Yes.
Policy 5:90, abuse and neglected child reporting. Policy 5:100, staff development program. Policy 5:120, ethics and conduct. And policy 5:200, terms and conditions of employment and dismissal.
I second.
Discussion? Done? All righty, let's have roll call, please.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner, Brenda Cagle,
Aye.
Valerie Reagan, Julie Troop,
Aye.
Rebecca Kern, aye, Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Under board communications, Mr. Aldridge will ask you to bring those to us.
Yes, we received Open Meetings Act complaint accusing the board of violating the Open Meetings Act when its meeting procedures by going into closed session, discussing something that was not necessarily on the agenda, and then violated the law by voting on it without the public having knowledge of the contents. So I sent it today, sent the response to the complaint. Obviously, the district does not agree with this, but obviously that's anyone's right as a public citizen to question the Board of Education and its procedures. So that will be, now it's in the Attorney General's hand, and we will see what they have to say.
And you're going to get those to the board, get your letter to the board, I believe you stated.
Yes, I will. I'm going to send that. I didn't figure there was any need to send it at 4 o'clock, 2 o'clock when we called. So I will send that out as we go along. I will send that.
Thank you.
Of course. The board also received a Freedom of Information Act request review. Member of the public demanded that the Illinois Attorney General's office review the Freedom of Information Act response submitted by the board. So the Board of Education responded to a FOIA request. That response has now been challenged and asked the Attorney General's office to intervene, and the district provided all of its information to the Attorney General, and we will wait and see what the Attorney General actually finds with the request review. But as I said, the district complied with the law, and I fully believe the Attorney General will find in the district's favor. And you can see that response is in your board packet. The next item is just the division meeting. If you would like to attend the School Board Association's business meeting on, when is it? May 7th. On May 7th, then please let Ms. Walton know so that she can register us all together, because if we do it as a group, then there's a little bit of savings, and it's at Lariat Steakhouse in Peoria. So let her know. Then the final item here is notes from the superintendent to individual community members. Because we had some individuals who, an individual who came to the board meeting and brought a concern to the board regarding recycling and the noise level at the chili supper. I just sent a note to him saying we appreciate it and that we discussed his comments, and we're glad that he came forward. So
Thanks
just
for
put
doing
that out
that.
there.
Very personable.
And also, I'm sorry.
The board appreciates you contacting them for us.
Okay. And then on the next page, I did the same thing. I sent out a thank you note to Regina, and I don't remember, I don't have her last name, but she's with Creative Cuts up on the corner up there, and she's the one that helped with my hairdo. So that was kind of a personal note that I sent up to her.
Are you going to her every 6 weeks now to get that sent?
Yeah, I should, shouldn't I?
No, she didn't. Actually, he was up there a couple weeks ago.
At this time, we'll move on to item I, public participation. So we open it up to those sitting in the audience. Having none, we'll go on to the motion for executive session, please.
I make a motion to enter into closed session for appointment, employment, performance, and termination of personnel, litigation against, affecting, or on behalf of the public body that has been filed and is pending before court or administrative tribunal, and discussion regarding superintendent's employment.
Second. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle,
Aye.
Valerie Reagan, Julie Troop,
Aye.
Rebecca Kern, aye, Judy Strong.
Yes, we'll
Motion
take
carried.
a 5-minute break. We need a motion, please, to return to regular session.
Make the motion to return to regular session.
Roll call.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle, Valerie Reagan, Julie Troop,
Aye.
Rebecca Kern, aye, Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried. I know, I almost forgot.
All right, action regarding executive session matters. We need a motion, please.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 14-01 regarding the honorable dismissal of the educational support personnel employees hereinafter set forth are to be honorably discharged as a result of the decision of the Creve Coeur School District Number 76, Board of Education, Tazewell County, Illinois, to decrease the number of educational support staff employees. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of Creve Coeur School District Number 76, Tazewell County, Illinois, as follows. Do I have to read the section 1? Section 1, that Stan Engel shall be honorably discharged effective the end of the current school year. Section 2, that Rosalie Hageman shall be honorably discharged effective the end of the current school year. Section 3, that Lydia Thousand shall be honorably discharged effective the end of the current school year. Section 4, that Wilma Schulman shall be honorably dismissed effective the end of the current school year. Section 5, that Margaret Schoeneman shall be honorably dismissed effective the end of the current school year. Section 6, that Linda Timberlake shall be honorably dismissed effective the end of the current school year. Section 7, that Christine Allen shall be honorably dismissed effective the end of the current school year. Section 8, that the President and the Secretary of the Board of Education are hereby authorized and directed to send each educational support personnel employee named above a written notice of the Board's decision to honorably dismiss the educational support personnel employee by regular mail and also either by certified mail, return requested, or personal delivery with receipt at least 30 days before the end of the school term. A copy of this notice is attached hereto as Exhibit A. Section 9, that the superintendent or designee shall personally deliver the notice to each educational support personnel employee named above. This resolution shall have full force and effect upon passage and supersedes any previous resolution regarding the subject matter herein. Adopted this 15th day of April 2014 by the following roll call vote.
First of all, I second, right?
Thank you for that second, Mrs. Keiko.
Linda Bailey.
Aye.
Pam Greiner.
Aye.
Brenda Cagle.
Aye.
Val Reagan.
Aye.
Julie Troop.
Aye.
Rebecca Kern. Aye. Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Going on to the next motion, please.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 14-02, the resolution of dismissal of temporary educational support personnel. Whereas the temporary educational support personnel employees hereinafter set forth are to be dismissed as a result of the decision of the Creve Coeur School District Number 76 Board of Education, Tazewell County, Illinois, to terminate the temporary positions held by educational support personnel employees. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of Creve Coeur School District Number 76, Tazewell County, Illinois, as follows. Section 1, that Donna Rowland shall be dismissed effective the end of the current school year. Section 2, that Barb Langar shall be dismissed effective the end of the current school year. Section 3, that the President and Secretary of the Board of Education are hereby authorized and directed to send each educational support personnel employee named above a written notice of the Board's decision to terminate the temporary position held by the educational support personnel employee by regular mail and also either by certified mail, returned receipt requested, or personal delivery with a receipt at least 30 days prior to the end of the school term. A copy of the notice is attached hereto as Exhibit A. Section 4, that the superintendent or designee shall personally deliver the notice to each educational support personnel employee named above. This resolution shall have full force and effect upon passage and supersedes any previous resolution regarding the subject matter herein. Adopted this 15th day of April 2014 by the following roll call vote.
Second, please.
I second.
Thank you, Mrs. Kern. I'm sorry, Mrs. Keiko.
Linda Bailey.
Aye.
Pam Greiner.
Aye.
Brenda Cagle. Val Reagan. Julie Troop.
Aye.
Rebecca Kern. Aye. Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We need a motion on L2, please.
I'll make the motion to accept the resignation letter from Michelle Erkslaven
With regrets.
with regrets.
Second.
Mrs. Greiner is seconding that. Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey.
Aye.
Pam Greiner.
Aye.
Brenda Cagle. Val Reagan. Julie Troop.
Aye.
Rebecca Kern. Aye. Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We need a motion for adjournment, please.
I will make the motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey.
Aye.
Pam Greiner.
Aye.
Brenda Cagle.
Aye.
Valerie Reagan. Julie Troop.
Aye.
Rebecca Kern. Aye. Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Meeting adjourned.